Hello, everyone. This is Professor Maloney. Looks like I'm a little bit blurry again. I guess I got to clean that camera. So welcome to day three in our Honors CGS1060 class. This video will be played in class on Tuesday, August the 30th, and it's going to be about Computer Concepts Modules 1 and Module 2. So having said that, let me just go ahead and take my picture away, share my screen so I can kind of set this up for you. All righty. So I'm going to share my screen, and share and share and share. All right. So hide that. All right. So let's go to your view here for a moment. Actually, I don't know that I'll go in your view anyway. All right. So in your view, I'm going to go over to Student Start here as always, and then go over to MindTap. But first, I'll just again show you in the syllabus. Remember, you can always find out everything that's coming in class just by opening the syllabus. So clicking on the syllabus and schedule of activities. At the end of the syllabus is your schedule of activities. Let me make sure this is on the size I like you for you guys. 125. Yep. All right. So we're still up here in the weeks, the Unit 1 portion, weeks 1 through 4. And we're specifically on the first 3 weeks. So last week was week 1. When you see this video on the 30th, you can no longer post your bio. You cannot send me an email saying, Professor, I didn't know the bio was due. I'll say, oh, really? Where were you on day 1 of class on the 23rd? Where were you on day 2 of class on the 25th? No, this is one assignment that I purposefully don't allow you to make up because it's very important. And it's the only thing you had to post during week 1. So anyway, and that's worth 2% of your class grade. All right. All right. So, but now starting, also starting on the 25th, which was last Thursday, I gave you until September 7th to do these 5 modules right here. All right. So, Cengage Computing Concepts modules 1 through 5 quizzes. All right. I'm going to try to limit today's video to about 45 minutes so that at the end of class, I can have you guys do a certain little assignment. All right. So anyway, that's there. And but they're due on the September the 7th. Today is the 29th, but I'll base it on class day. So the 30th is class day, and they're due by the 7th. So you have basically 9 days almost, 8.5 days anyway, from the 30th up until 11:59 p.m. on September 7th. And then once you get to the 8th, that's when the first big thing in class starts. That's Windows 10 training, and that one's only available for 5 days. And then you're going to have your first exam, and that first exam, silly me, right here. Week 4, day 1 is going to be that exam on Windows 10, and it's taken in class. It'll start at 8 a.m. Really, it'll start probably at about 8:10, and you'll get 70 minutes or until 9:40, whichever comes first. So if you get to class at 9:15, you're late. Well, you blew it, because at 9:40, the exam will automatically be appended to give a 20% late penalty. So if you do not finish it by that time, really it's by 1 minute before that time, because 9:39 and 59 seconds is the last second you can submit that quiz. All right, that exam, I should say. And otherwise, you're going to get a 20% penalty on it, and you only get 1 week to do it late. All right, anyway, but I'm focusing right now on this thing is going to be right here, Cengage Computing Concepts modules 1 through 5, and I'm going to specifically be talking about modules 1 and module 2, or module 1 and module 2. All righty? All right, so I'm going to get out of the preview because it doesn't really matter. So I get out of the preview, but you guys will come to Student Start here, and then click your students, click here, and all of you are now registered in class, or you've been dropped, or you've dropped yourself, right? I think there's now only 15 students in this class. So, let me launch the content. All right. So now I'm over at the MindTap site for the class, and I'll just quickly do the same thing I did with the syllabus and the schedule of activities to show you where the assignment is. So I'll go to Computer Concepts, and if you remember, if I click on, let's just say module 1, so it's already available. 5 people have completed it, okay? But the due date, September 12th. Wait a minute, September, oh, no, that's for the late stuff. The graded thing, that's for if people want to do it late and I'm still letting them read this and review. But your quiz must be taken by September 7th, okay, at 11:59 p.m., or you'll get a 1-week penalty, a 1-week late submission allowance, but with a 20% automatic penalty. So if you get an 80 on it, it'll automatically take away 20 points. It's really 20-point penalty, okay? But if you're nice to me and you do better in the class, then I'll change the 20 points to 20%. So if you got an 80, instead of it going down to 60, it would go down to a 64. But again, nobody should ever do anything late in this class anyway, right? All right, so module 1, which is up here, the impact of digital technology, and module 2, the web, are what I'm going to talk about now. All right, and again, I'm going to try to make this video a little bit shorter. Hopefully it won't be more than 45 total minutes. If it is, that would be wonderful. All right, okay, so how are you going to get the best grade on computer concepts module 1 quiz? Well, 5 people, wait, 5. Wow. So 5 of you, yeah, have already done it. And look at the average score, 91%. Okay. So that means on average, all of you made an A. Obviously, somebody probably made 100, maybe 2 or 3 made 100, or at least 1 or 2 or 3 made a 96, 97, 98, depending on how many questions there were on it, for sure. But let me put this in a different perspective. So what is, let's see, if 4 people made 100, that would mean one person can make, I'm trying to get 1 point less. 400, all right, so if somebody got a 50. So if 4 people got 100, that's 400. One person got a 50, that's 50. So 450 is 450. And now you divide by the 5. 5 into 450 is a 90. Okay, so worst case scenario, not worst case, but if, as an example, 4 of the 5 students made a 100, that means the 5th one made a 50. Now that's pretty darn unlikely, but it also shows you the significance of an average score of 91%. Obviously, I know all of you want to make 100, and I want you to make 100. So if you're one of the ones who got this, you know, whatever grade, but you know, let's say your score most likely is in either the 80s or the 90s. It's possible one person's in the 70s, but it's maybe unlikely, but I mean, it could have happened, right? Because with 5 people, again, to have an average of 91, that means for everyone that's higher than 91, there's one that's lower. For everyone that's exactly 91, then that's the average, and whatever else. So the point is, how did they do it, and how should you do it? So let's go ahead and talk specifically about these 5 people. Now, obviously, I'm not going to show their names, but let's now look above. Remember what I told you in class on day 2, which was last Thursday. I said, and that means it was the 25th. I said, the best way to get the best grade on this quiz and all other quizzes, you know, and remember, there are only quizzes for computer concepts in this class. So there might be true false questions. There might be multiple choice questions. Well, there will be true false. There will be multiple choice. There may even be a short answer or 2 or fill in the blank or 2. I don't know. But it's all based on this content. So for them to all have a 91, let's see how much they prepared. So here is the, wait, where's the review? I always talk about, okay, here's the review activities. Wow. Only one person, one person looked at the review questions or did the review questions. One person did whatever discussion question, and nobody did the critical thinking. So this review was out of the 91%, looks like one of them, one of the 5 did it. You might say, why is it 1 of 5? It's 1 of 15. Well, I'm assuming that the 1 of 15 here is 1 of the 5 here, right? So 4 of the 5 students did not do this, right? So let's hide that now, go above it. So this thing here, the practice for computer concept skills training, 3 out of 15 have done it. In all likelihood, those 3 are also 3 of the 5 that did this. So at least 2 didn't even do this. So they've done nothing so far. Here, all right, 4. Now, 4 people out of 15. So it's possible that none of these 5 viewed that or did this practice, but I again assume at least 2 or 3 of these 4 are the ones that took the quiz, and most likely all 4. So, but it's still at least one person did not. So maybe one person did make a 50 or 60 on it and everyone else made 80s and 90s. Anyway, look at these percentages. They're very low. Okay, very low. So I'm kind of disappointed, guys. You're an honors class. And in addition to that, what I didn't say the other day, or I don't think I said the other day, is I also suggest you do the full term, the terms. So here's how I'm going to do it. Remember, it's module 1. I'm going to open the full book, go to the table of contents, right? Remember the table of contents. So there are literally 14 modules in Technology for Success. But in our class, you see there's only module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, and then there's 12, 13, 14, but only 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 you're graded on. And in the news, you're not graded on. So where it says 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they're not even here. 11's not here. But where it says 12, you see digital transformation, that's there. Databases, 13, that's there. Digital ethics, that's there. Okay, but you only have to do 1 through 5. So first thing I really suggest you do is you click on Impact of Digital Technology. All right, so that's the first one. And then I would say, again, this is links, and I showed this in class on Thursday the 25th to demonstrate that these links were the same as the links over here if you're looking at it from module 1 in here. All right, but I suggest what you really do is look at the summary and look at the key terms. Okay, so let's go to the summary. So computers impact your daily life in many ways, including the use of embedded computers in vehicles, in ATMs, and in stores, and the Internet of Things that allows smart home appliances and other devices to communicate over the internet or a wireless network. So in this chapter or this module, they're going to talk about embedded computers. So an embedded computer only does one thing. Okay, it might be in your car, it might be for the parking brakes, you know, for when you hit your brake, I should say, your brakes. That could be powered by an embedded computer that does just that one thing. Could be in an ATM, so that when you click that you want to make a withdrawal, that ATM does one thing with that one, and that would be that withdrawal. If you're doing another button on the ATM for a deposit, that might be a separate embedded computer. The Internet of Things allows us to use all sorts of home appliances and devices to communicate over the internet or a wireless network. So you can literally have an Internet of Things running something in your computer, in your refrigerator. Okay, so you can do a lot of things with it. Right? So computers have evolved from large, inefficient, and expensive devices. These were commonly called mainframes, and this is also in this little chapter, that use technology such as vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes was how computers were first started, and it put information basically via vacuum tubes. And these were like big, big glass tubes, very, very inefficient. But at the time, decades ago, this was the only thing we had at the time. And then they became smaller and more powerful connected devices such as PCs, smartphones, and more. But instead of vacuum tubes, then today we use chips. And chips can store literally billions of things on a little 1 square inch chip. Okay, so it's amazing what we can do today. Artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality. They use logic and simulations to make predictions, educate, and entertain. Users with limitations or disabilities can use many different devices and software that enable them to access and use technology. There are many ways you can employ green computing practices to help reduce your impact on the environment. So right here, there'll be a definition for artificial intelligence. There'll be another definition for virtual reality, meaning if you're reading these things here, or if you're reading the full ebook and by going page by page and then up and down on the scroll bar, and augmented reality. Okay, so artificial intelligence is using basically human logic in how we used to do things and making that turn into AI, artificial intelligence. Virtual reality is using something that you're wanting to display, but you're turning it into like a 3D printer as an example. Virtual reality is absolutely amazing. Augmented reality is when you're using, let's say, a picture of something, so an image of maybe a building, and then with the augmented reality, you're changing it to be like 3D and to show different variations on what you might want to do. So all of these things you can click on links, not right here, but in the other, because this is the summary. So remember, through the full book, table of contents, and if you come down here and you click the digital impact of digital technology and you start, you can then click all these as links, okay, as links. So like IoT in business here. Let's get into the virtual reality I mentioned. IoT, actually, they were talking about Internet of Things at home and Internet of Things in business. You'll see that, okay. Let's see, where is our, okay, impact of virtual reality. So they said virtual reality. I said it's the use of computers simulating a real or imagined environment, but basically it was based on what we used to do, but then turning it into 3D space, okay? And then augmented reality, I said, is some kind of, you have a picture, you have an actual image, and then you're adding things to it to augment that, to make it look better, to make it more realistic, but also to help you make changes to things that you want to do in the future. All right. So augmented reality, virtual reality. And then if you just basically go page by page, you can click on all these. Digital divide. What do you think digital divide is? So digital divide is obviously, there's a certain group, and in the US, that's probably a huge percentage of us. Also in countries like Canada, I mean, a huge percentage, and in Europe and in Asia, it's getting more and more that way. But there's a huge amount of, like, just tons of countries in, let's say, Central America, and also in Southeast Asia and in Africa. And it's absolutely horrible, the digital divide that these people are dealing with. It means they don't have the advantage. So if you click on digital divide, the gap between those who have access to technology and all the resources and information, especially on the internet, and those who do not. Well, those who do not is the bigger number. It's not as big as it used to be. I heard, forget which company it is now, but they're putting the internet, they're trying to put the internet in 75% of Africa, but from all these satellites that are being put up. So it's probably being done by Amazon or a company like that. All right. But either way, so that is a horrible thing, right? And then you just keep coming over. Digital citizen. So you should be familiar with the use of technology to become an educated and productive member of society. Artificial intelligence, we already had. Natural language processing. What it means is that you're basically using natural language. Natural language is the spoken word. So we're speaking to allow things to take place with artificial intelligence. Okay. If you're using Alexa or you're using Siri, you know, you might be saying, hey, Siri, turn on my lights. Hey, Siri, search for the latest song from whoever. Well, in my case, I'm an older dude. So let's say, hey, Siri, please play Bachman Turner Overdrive's Taking Care of Business. And it would find it. Hey, Alexa, play the Guess Who, American Woman. American woman, American woman. In this case, the Canadian group, the Guess Who, was not being overly nice. What they were, and I won't go there. But anyway, it's just talking about, you know, it's obviously an old song from that day and age. But so, sorry, digital assistants I'm talking about. So those kinds of things are really cool, right? We can do a lot of stuff. And you should be looking at these things. So robotics, science that combines engineering and technology to create and program robots. Just look at what's happening here. So a robot used to detect weeds and spray chemicals. Imagine, right? The technology, because how many gardens are just overrun with weeds? Similarly with bugs. And there's certain kinds of bugs that are healthy for gardens and actually help them. And then there are some that just literally destroy. Right? You can destroy a whole cornfield with some of these kinds of bugs. But anyway, all these things, self-driving cars. We're to the point where here we are, right? So you guys in this day and age know all this. I mean, you know, at least deal with this. When I was a young man, we wanted to read a book. We had to go to the library to get one. Okay? And the library back then didn't really have what we have today. But these days, obviously, we can do more on our phones. You know, we can do more on a laptop today than you can do on what was called a mainframe computer from 40 years ago. So a laptop today is more powerful than than mainframe servers that used to power a whole company back in the day. All right. So all these things. So impact of digital technology. So go to the terms after the summary. So summary, I just then go to the terms. And every term that's important in the chapter, okay? Remember they were talking about green computing, okay? Reducing waste, reducing things. So computing, yes, but computing in a green sense so that you're not wasting resources. You're trying to rely on things that are better, more healthy for the environment. Hardware is like physical things. So the physical computer, the physical wires, the physical switches, all the things that are in a computer. Information technology department, that's like a department that's responsible for all the businesses computing resources, all their networks, all their, having Microsoft Office on everybody's computer, having everybody on, let's say, Google Chrome or Firefox, as opposed to perhaps Edge, or perhaps as opposed to other browsers, if they want to do that kind of stuff, right? So all these types of things. All of these things, they mentioned the Internet of Things, environment where processors are embedded in every product imaginable, and those things communicate with one another. The Internet of Things can start with a little car, that self-propelled car, but it could also then use that car to do things if you're using the IoT in other ways. Like you have something in your house that's acting as a stop sign. So that stop sign can be put on, and then you can have a communication between that car and that stop sign that you're putting there to have that car stop at that point. You're tying them together, right? So you're just doing, and it's called things on purpose because there's no limitations as to what we can do. These things communicate with one another via the internet or wireless networks. Okay, learning management systems. What we're using in this class, this thing here, this is Blackboard. These days we're on a lot of people are on Canvas. I've got some classes on Canvas this term, some on Blackboard. You may be the same way. Next term, there'll be more on Canvas than on Blackboard, but by next summer, every class will be on Canvas. Okay? Then there's also MindTap, though. This is a learning management system. All these things, I'm looking at a book. I can also have all this stuff read back to me, right? Read back to me. Let's see if we have card readers here. Audiobooks. So audiobooks, reads aloud. If I don't want to read it, my gosh, I can even have it read to me, right? So a lot of things. Computer-aided design, or at least you've probably heard of it, CAD. People are using these days that kind of stuff, like auto shop. Computer-aided manufacturing is the same thing, but for manufacturing processes. So if they want to make products and ship those products more quickly, with CAM, they can have robots do what we don't want to do anymore, or that perhaps we can't do anymore. Like there are so many things built and so fast, and it's because of things like this that's happening. Okay. Information is data. Well, data is like words, it's numbers, it's just text, that's text. It means nothing, but information takes that data and then turns it into useful information. So it's been data that has been processed to become meaningful. All right. A kiosk, you go to an airport these days, you normally check in via a kiosk. So it's a freestanding booth, usually in a public area, that can contain a display device used to show information to the public or event attendees, right? Microprocessor, that's the brains of your computer. That's just, the most important chip on a computer, right? Smart devices. Well, if you have the word smart, it's talking about the internet. It's talking about doing things with devices that can that are all around us. So a device that can communicate, locate, and predict, part of the Internet of Things. Software, it's programming. It's just programs that we use. We use Office, but you also use PDF. You use forms, online forms. It's all based on software, right? Speech recognition. This is part of things like ADA, software that helps a user to input data or information verbally. A lot of people, they cannot type. They can't use a keyboard. So they need speech recognition software programs. And as part of ADA, that's the case. All right. So, all these things are terms that will help you. Now look at this also though. So you're up here on exam one or quiz one, right here. So here's quiz 1. Here's your ebook, right? The full ebook. So, you know, it's all there for you, all right? All right, now let's talk about module 2 for a little bit, and then we shall end this. So module 1, 5 out of 15 have done it. Let's see how many have done module 2. 1. So 1 out of 15 has done it thus far. Let's see if he or she did any of the review. Well, this person did the concept skills training. They did this challenge. Now, see here, it says 2 people viewed this video on how search engines work. It's a really cool video, but only 1 of the 2 has done the quiz yet. And that makes sense because some of you, like before you do the quiz, you should do these things. I have to assume that on the 2.4, the person that did it is the one that did the test, or the quiz. The one that did the module 2 computer concept skills training, I assume this one is this one right here that did the quiz, right? And now up here, there's a few that are done by 2 people, not many though. So there's a lot of this that has to be done as well. So let's now look at module 2. So the web, okay? And let's again go, let's actually in this case go to the key terms and then we'll look at the summary, all right? So key terms, a whole bunch of key terms, right? So what do you think 3D secure is? Obviously anything to do with 3D, you know, is the way we turn data these days, turn information into 3-dimensional elements. And it makes it really, really, really cool, especially if you're looking at like buildings or you're looking at structures and you look at them as a fixed text as opposed to a 3-dimensional. It looks entirely better with 3-dimensional. And with 3D secure, then obviously it's now how are we going to secure these things? And this is specifically saying with credit card transactions over the internet. You know, thank God in the US and in Canada and in a lot of other countries, these days, if you are hacked or a company gets hacked, let's say it's one of the credit card companies. I won't say a particular name, but let's just say it's a credit card company. So we'll say ABC credit card company, and that is we'll say it's a Visa card. And that Visa company was hacked and they had 1 million customers. Well, so those 1 million customers had to create accounts. They all have a maximum spending amount they're allowed to spend on their, you know, on their credit card. They all have an address in there. They all have an email in there, meaning information wise. So, you know, any of that information that's stolen can then be used by the bad guys to then try to do some bad things with that person's account. And there have been hundreds of big companies in the US and again worldwide, probably tens of thousands, and it may be thousands even in the US, but I'm saying big companies. So hundreds of big companies have been hacked. Hacked meaning again somebody from the outside got into their databases, got into their servers, got into all their customer accounts. Okay, and then, you know, if you know how to get programs to pull that information out, then you might be able to be stealing things and selling that information to the bad guys who then use it, or you might be using it yourself. There's just a lot of bad things happening. Anyway, so address bar is, you know, when you're up here, this is what we normally call URL, but they also call it address bar. So the part of a browser window that displays the location of the current page. So I'm on a web page. The web page I'm on is really cengage.com, but then see, I'm in a folder called static, and then a subfolder called NV, another subfolder UI, maybe user interface, another one EVO, and then finally I'm to the main page, index.html. That would mean the home page. And then though, from that home page, they're doing something based on a deployment ID. It's a primary key in a database field and an ISBN. So the ISBN means it's the book I'm looking for, and then this deployment ID will pull up that particular author's book as part of that index.html site. So when I open up the page that way. But watch this. Let's change, I'll go to this one here, and I'll change UI for user interface. I'll just say UIA, okay? So UIA, and now I enter it, and of course that's not gonna get me anywhere. It says cannot get. Get is the computer statement, and it's purposefully capitalized, get, which gets information based on an address in a URL, okay? URL is Uniform Resource Locator. It's commonly called the web page name, in this case, the web page that we're trying to pull up. So I can't get to it because it's saying cannot get, and then it's got a / static, so that is a folder, and then a / NB, that's a subfolder, then a / UIA, that's a subfolder, / EVO, another subfolder, and then it's trying to pull up finally the name of the file it's trying to display. So there's a problem somewhere. It could be that index.html is not a good name. But in this case, remember, I just added an A. So I go up here to the UI, click again in the UI, okay? Get rid of that A. Oops, UI. And now if I enter, it'll bring me back to where I was. Okay? So this is the index.html page when it first comes up, and then I go wherever I want to go. Okay, so this is the index.html. Based on this, is it just a primary key in their database to pull in, and it's going to this ISBN, okay, and then the user ID meaning me, and then a snapshot ID, and the rest of it is just more stuff to make sure it pulls up what we're looking for. Oh, I just went backwards. Okay, so that's where we are. And oh yes, I'm in the ebook, the full book. Remember, I'm in module 2 though right now. So table of contents for module 2, the web. Okay, and I said we'd go to the, in this case, I said we'd start at key terms. So address bar and that. An app is just a program. It's sometimes called an application. Actually, here it's application. These are going to be the same. So app, short for application, a computer program that performs specific tasks. Application, software that lets users perform specific tasks, also called an app. So there's a lot of these, but a lot of them are just duplicates, okay? A blog, what's a blog? Well, it's a weblog. It's like a diary that some users put out there, and they're very popular these days. Some people call them weblogs, but a blog is just basically a diary. So let's actually see what it's saying here. Short for weblog, an informal website consisting of date or time-stamped articles or posts in a diary or a journal format, right? So Boolean operators. In the computer world, Boolean is something that represents either an answer of true or an answer of false. All right, so Booleans are true, false, yes, no, black, white, things like that. All right, so true, false, yes, no. So what is it that we're looking for? So it would be when we're searching for something. All right, so we're searching for a character, we're searching for a word, and it'll return a true if it finds it. It'll return a false if it doesn't find it. So they're called Boolean operators. So in your case, if you don't know it, which obviously you probably don't, character, word, or symbol that focuses a web search, also called a search operator. Excuse me. So now if I scroll down, there's probably search operator here. Search operator. It's going to be the same thing, right? Character, word, or symbol. So a lot of them are, there may be 2 or even 3 links that are basically could be 1 or 2 different words, let's just say, but it's all the same stuff, all right? So go back up here, and I'll only read a few more, and then I'll let you guys obviously continue this work. All right, so that was Boolean. Then breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs are the path to where you're trying to go. So there's little niblets, little bits of information. The first start of the information is the website. Then it's a folder. It's another folder. It's another subfolder. Then it's another subfolder. Then it's trying to find something. It's got a breadcrumb if I get this far. Then it's got a breadcrumb based upon this. And then it's got a different breadcrumb based on the book. This search string to go to an index.html page, very common, used in probably thousands and thousands of websites. And the only change is if you had a different ISBN, and if you gave me one, I could put it in here literally. And as long as it was a McGraw-Hill, sorry, a Cengage, because this is the Cengage website, right? And Cengage is the MindTap platform. So their ISBNs, okay? And then though it has to be everything else has to still work as well. But anyway, that's the point there. So breadcrumbs is that. So a step in the path you follow to display a page, right? A browser, obviously this is a browser. What browser am I on? I'm on Edge. This is Edge, okay? I could also be on Chrome. I can be on Firefox. I can be on Safari. I can be on DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo is one of these browsers that a lot of people these days don't want any information of theirs going anywhere. DuckDuckGo says that they do a better job of hiding your data. So let's go into DuckDuckGo, okay? And in DuckDuckGo, let's do a search. I should have done the same search for somewhere else. Let's say capital of Ontario. So Toronto. Let's see. So Toronto, okay, so it pops up down here. Now let's go to Google and let's search for capital of Ontario, Toronto. Now in the case of Chrome, Google, sorry, it pops up like this. And how many other hits? 220 million hits. Let's see what DuckDuckGo says. They don't have much of it, but they won't have near as many. Look at the vertical browser, the up and down thing. There's not that many. Okay. Now there are more results, etc. But it's, you know, this. All right. So this one, and then let's go into Bing again. I'm already on Edge, so let's just go to Bing.com. Oops, Bing.com. And then I was on Bing doing something. All right, Bing.com. And then here, capital of Ontario. And similar to Chrome, it puts that up. But this one, look, people also search for Montreal. Montreal's in Canada. Vancouver, Calgary, Brampton, that's Ontario. Hamilton, that's Ontario. So, you know, I provided you guys a picture, by the way, of me and my wife and our two sons at the CN Tower in Toronto. This is the CN Tower right here. And we were at this outdoor observation. Sorry, we weren't on the outdoor observation deck, but we were right here in this big circular part. So we were up here, and then we had the picture of us overlooking the city, and in another view overlooking Lake Ontario. But I put one of those. Do I have it here? I forget now. I don't have it in here. Why not? Where is it? Anyway, all right. I had it there. But anyway, so that's that one. So let's go back to Chrome. So with Chrome, it doesn't give more up here. It's got Ontario, then it's got Canada, and it does have Vancouver. So I personally like the Bing look because, well, if you're searching for Toronto, you might just be searching for big cities. But I like the idea of having little thumbnails of other Canadian cities up, because to me it makes sense. Is Ontario in the USA or Canada? Hey, there you go. Gee whiz, what a question, right? But anyway, so that's that. So you decide. But some people do like this DuckDuckGo these days. It's not as ostentatious, you know, as a Bing and as a Chrome, but whatever, right? So let's get out of that, get out of that, get out of that. Go back over to us here. Wherever we are. Okay, so that was breadcrumbs browser. So browser obviously is the browser, you know, it's programs such as Edge that's designed to display web pages. Okay, so then there's B2B and B2C and C2C. So B2B is business to business. This is like a website, or it's for, let's say, Walmart and their suppliers, or Air Canada and maybe some travel sites that they work with to help them get customers. Or, you know, you want to go to Universal in Orlando. They have a business to business relationship with their site, like Universal, but also with the on-site hotels. So business to business are things that we can't see unless we work for them, and then we have the permission to do it. Business to consumer is like if you go to Walmart.com and you want to buy something from their website, you can do it. They're the business, you're the consumer. Consumer to consumer is like using an eBay, where it's one person, one consumer selling it to another consumer. So e-commerce model here in which consumers provide goods and services to other consumers. Business to consumer, e-commerce model in which businesses provide goods and services to consumers. Business to business, same thing, e-commerce model, but businesses transferring goods, services to other or between businesses, right? Okay, so that. Cache. So cache allows us to keep things on our computer. They're normally called cookies. Basically, it's a little tiny text file on your computer that makes it easier to track information. So like if I want to go back and then do something here in Toronto, I just type Toronto. Let's see. Well, so the Raptors popped up. All this popped up again. but that's just because it's here. But if I click on, let's say, Buffalo right here, so now I've got Buffalo up. Okay, Buffalo is about 90 miles south of Toronto, about 75 via here, but about 110 via car because you got to go around the lake. But let's see. So if I've got Buffalo in my search, now if I'm doing some things on Bing, Toronto or Buffalo might pop up. So let's just pop up. Let's just put in. Oops, get out of there. Let's just go look for. We'll say hockey. Okay. Let's see if, as I scroll, I see anything on Toronto or Buffalo. I am not. It's kind of a surprise, actually. Amazon, not showing Toronto, not showing Buffalo. Interesting. Interesting. Well, anyway, that's what they do. Right? That's what they do. Maybe it's just based on, you know, how many times you're there and what you're doing. Oh, shoot, where am I again? Okay, so I was at, oh, cache. Yeah, so cache, if you click, say, holding area where your browser keeps a copy of each web page of view. It's a text file. It's temporary storage, helps speed up processing. Now let's go to cookies. A file created by a website, and that stores information on your computer, also called a first-party cookie. So cookies and cache are doing the same stuff. Citation style, you know, this is for like if you're using MLA or APA. When we get to Microsoft Word in this class, you'll be doing a lot of things with citations, okay? Consumer to consumer, we talked about. So that's about 10, all right? So let's just go down, maybe talk about the last few, and then you just go from there and continue reading. So last one, World Wide Web Consortium. So this is W3C. And you might say, what is W3C when it's this? Well, so World W, Wide W, Web W. So the W is 3 words beginning with W. The first one, world, second one, wide, second one, a third one, web, and then the next letter is consortium. So World Wide Web Consortium. This is the organization basically that manages the guidelines for websites, right? So one of the leading organizations that set guidelines for the web and that work together to write web standards, right? And then World Wide Web itself, though, is just a bunch of all the sites on the internet worldwide. So it's a service to connect all the websites so that if you're in Nigeria or you're in Japan or you're in Russia, you're in Newfoundland, Canada, and you're trying to get to that same answer, capital of Ontario, you can find it from the websites around you, okay? And word stem, I don't know word stem, the base of a word used in a web search to broaden a search, okay? So I don't actually know that one. Word stem, the base of a word used in a web search to broaden a search. Actually don't know what that means. Okay. Wildcard is a special character that helps you find things based upon a search. So a wildcard in most languages in the database world would be the asterisk. Like if in Excel you use the asterisk character for multiplications, but if you're searching for something, you use a wildcard character. So like if I'm looking for all things in a particular file that begin with the letters M-A. Let's pretend it's Maloney, but M-A, and then I type M-A asterisk. The wildcard asterisk will give me everything as long as it starts with an M and an A. Okay, so a special symbol that substitutes for unknown characters in search text. The most common are the question mark. That's 1, which stands for any single character, and the asterisk, which represents any group of characters. So if I did M-A asterisk, it'll then find it that way, or try to find it that way. So let's in here, let's see if I can do a Control F, M-A asterisk. And it is telling me there's nothing in here that begins with M-A asterisk. Let me now do it with W-E asterisk. W-E asterisk. And see all these, wait, why is it saying, what's going on here with my computer? Well, so I do a Control F, like when I'm finding things, but maybe they're not letting it happen in that. Let me go into my Word document. Let me open up our thing for you guys. So let's see, going here, going to Homestead, go in Homestead, go in, why am I at that one? MDC 2022, and I'm in Homestead, and I'm looking for our syllabus. Uh-oh, which one did I use? Yeah. Now I'll just pull up this one, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'll pull up this one, I won't save it. Okay, so now I've got this, and now let's say, you see the word requirements there? Make this bigger when it finally reads. All right, so you saw the word requirements, okay? So what I'm going to type in my control find, so I'm going to do a control F, that means find, and I'm going to say asterisk, which means anything, and then requirement, R-E-Q, so I'll do Q, U, I, and then asterisk again. So what this means is, oh, R-E-Q-U-I, what is wrong with this? Let's just do it this way. God almighty. So it might be then that they're just not as smart as your teacher and they don't let me do it. So R-E-Q-U-I, yeah, they're doing that, 39 of those. So I can look for the next one, the next one, the next one. But see, what I was trying to do is asterisk, meaning I don't care if it begins with R-E, but I was trying to do it for Q, U, and I. And it should have just pulled up all the words that had required. But anyway, it didn't work. So didn't work. They're not that smart. Mine would work if I were in a database. I do teach databases as well. So anyway, where was I here? So wildcard. So wildcard is a search character. Let's look at that again. So a special symbol that substitutes for unknown characters in search, because we don't always know exactly what we're looking for, but we know it's something that, like, let's say again, Canada. We're looking for Canada. We know it's C-A-N-A, and for some reason we don't know that D-A or the N. So if we do C-A-N-A asterisk, we should get any text that begins with C-A-N-A, and I don't care what follows, but it must begin with C-A-N-A. All right. Anyway, whoops. All right. Wiki, Wiki is obviously that free site. They provide information, but some people say it's not as good because people can change it. So it's a collaborative website where you and your colleagues can modify. This is not good. Well, it's not always good. And publish content on a web page. All right. Website, it's going to, again, Cengage.com is a website. ESPN.com is a website. TSN.ca is a website, right? So just websites. So let's click on that one. Location on the World Wide Web that contains web pages linked together. Web page, a specially formatted document that can contain text, graphics, sound, video, and links to other web pages. So web page here and website is the same thing. Web page is normally a more basic website. Web server, internet computer that stores web pages. So when we're looking for information on, let's say, on Walmart, well, here again, Cengage.com, all these pages and all these subfolders lead to more files, and this is the web server. Cengage.com has a server that organizes all of their content. Right? A web portal is a website that contains many sources, information from many sources, and provides access to those pages. All right, so that's enough. You're going to keep looking at those, though. You can write down a quick little note. You can write down notes to help you when you're doing your quiz. That doesn't bother me. You get 2 tries for your quiz. All right. Okay, so we'll say that is it for today. That's modules 1 and module 2. Have a great day.